on Introduction to Python by ISA Academy. In this video, we will learn an introduction to Python programming. So before I beginning, make sure to subscribe to the ISA Academy channel for more interesting tech videos. In this introduction to Python video, we will learn what is Python, the features of Python, and where Python is used. We will also look at the popular Python framework and library and get an idea about the best Python IDEs. Then we will see the top companies using Python, Jupyter, and get more hands-on experiences by learning the basic of Python on a Jupyter notebook. So let us get started with what is Python. Python is a high-level object-oriented programming language developed by Judo van Rossum in 1989 and was first released in 1991. Python is often called a batteries-included language due to its comprehensive standard library. A fun fact about Python is that the name Python was actually taken from the popular BBC comedy show of that time, Monty Python Flying Circus. Now let us look at the top features of Python. First, so Python has a simple structure and clear defined syntax. This allows the learners to pick up the language quickly. So it is easy to learn and use. Python can run on different operating systems such as Windows, Linux, and Mac, making it a portable language. It enables programmer to develop the software for several competing platforms by writing a program only once. Third, Python is freely available at the official website since it is often source. This means that source code is also available to the public. Python use an object-oriented approach that encapsulated code within object. Python provides a collection of library for various tasks such as machine learning, web development, and data analytics. And finally, in Python, you don't need to assign the data type of variable. When you assign some value to the variable, it automatically allocated the memory to the variable at runtime. With that, let us move on to the usage of Python programming. So Python programming language is used to develop desktop application and build web application too. It is popularly used in the field of data science, machine learning, and artificial intelligence to analyze data, build predictive models, and make business decisions. Python is also widely used in game development. Now let us see some of the popular Python framework and libraries. Python can be used for web development using framework like Django, Flask, Pyramid, and Cherrypie. Now you can build a graphical user interface using libraries and frameworks such as Tinker or JustKinter. You can also use the PyGKT, PyQt, PyJS, or Python JavaScript. Python is also used to perform machine learning tasks using libraries such as TensorFlow, PyTorch, Scikit-learn, Matplotlib, and SciPy. You can also perform a mathematical computational using NumPy and Pandas. Now let us look at the best IDEs that you can use to write Python programs in Python and perform a specific task. So you have Jupyter Notebook, which is part of the Anaconda distribution that is widely used these days. Even for our demo in this video, we will be using Jupyter Notebook. I shall show you in a while. Then we have the Visual Code Editor from Microsoft. It is also one of the preferred IDEs by learners and companies. Then we also have the popular text editor called Sublime Text Editor, and we also have PyCharm, followed by Python, IDLE, and Spider as our top IDs. Now let us look at the top companies that are using Python in our day-to-day work. So we have Google, Quora, Facebook, and Netflix, Spotify, and Instagram. Now there are other top product-based, service-based, and startup that also use Python programming. Okay, now with this theory, let us move to our Jupyter notebook, while where I shall show you how to write basic Python code. So I have my Anaconda distribution of Python already installed, and I am working on a Windows system. So I shall search here for the Jupyter notebook. You can see here I have my Jupyter notebook Anaconda 3 installed. Let me just open, and this will open on a web browser. So you see here, this is my Chrome browser. Okay, so here I have some Python notebooks already created. Now for our demo, let us go ahead and create a new video. So here I am going to click on new, and then I will select Python 3. This open in a new tab, and here I can write whatever code and I want. Alright, so first let us see how you can print a simple sentences or a text in a Python. Now to print something, you can just use the print function. If I write print within brackets, suppose I want to print my country's dat in India. Now India is actually a string, so I need to pass in within double quotes. So this is it. If you want to print something, you can just use the print function. The pass within the function whatever you want to print. And now to run this cell, I just need to click on this run button, or you can hit shift enter to run this cell. I shall just hit shift enter. You can see it here. It has printed India for me. Alright, now let us say you want to perform some simple mathematical calculations. That also you can do it. Suppose I want to find sum of 10 plus 50. I shall just run this cell. You see here it gives me 60 in very simple. Similarly, if you want to find the product of, let us say, three numbers, I shall write, let us say, 40 into 2 into 5. If I run this, you get the result, that is 400, which is correct. Okay, now to store our value, we can take the help of variable. Suppose if I write x equal to 7, this means that my value 7 is stored in a variable, that is x. You might be aware that in other programming language also we have variable and data type, which I am going to tell you now. So here I have assigned my value 7 to the variable x. Now let me go ahead and print what is there in x. If I run this cell, there you go, it gives me 7, which means x hold the value of 7. Now if you want to check the data type of x, you can use the type function in Python. So if I write a type of x, and if I print it, it also result in the type of data that x in holding. You can see there here the first print statement print the value of x is 7, and the second print statement gives me the type or data type of x, which says it is class integer or int. Cool. Now let me show you how you can use the input function to take our user input. Suppose I have variable x, where I want to store some number. I am going to use the int function, and inside the int function I shall give my input function. So when I run it, it will ask the user to input a number. I shall write enter a number x. Okay. Similarly, I shall just copy this come to the next line. I want to create another variable called y, which will also have another number. I will write I will write enter number for y, and then I am going to print the addition. So I will write addition of x and y is give a colon and then I will pass in the operation within bracket that is x plus y. Okay, or essentially what I am doing here is I am assigning the value of my first number to x, then I am assigning the value of my second number to y, and then I am finding the sum of x and y. Let me show you the result. If I hit shift enter, it is asking for the user input because I had defined my input function. So it asking enter number x. Let me give my number as let us say 30. I shall hit enter again. It is asking for my by input. Let us say I shall give 60 and then I shall hit enter. There you go, it has returned me the addition of 30 and 60 and is 90. Okay, you can see the message as well. Addition of x and y is 90. Cool. Now let me show you how to add to a string, and we'll compare the result when you add to a string and two numbers. So basically when you add to a string, it is going to merge both the string or concentrate both the string. You may the way to do it is I shall just copy let me copy all the 3 lines of code from the top. I shall paste it here. Now I am going to remove the integer function that I had used. The integer function was actually used to typecast the input to integer, but now I am going to take the values in terms of text or string. Now let us see the difference. If I run this, let us say I shall enter my number as 10 and then my second number would be, let us say, 20. If I add 10 and 20, it is going to merge both the number and return me 1020. So when we add to a string, it is going to return you the merge value of both the string. Alright, now let us go ahead and explore some of the popular data type in Python. Now I am giving a hashtag and typing data type. This means anything followed by the hash represent a comment. So in the other programming language also we have comments. Similarly in the Python, if you want to write a comment, you can give a hash and pass in the comments. So first let us say I have a variable which has a value of 7 or let us say 10. Now if you were to find the type of value that a variable is holding, you can use the type function. If I run this, it gives me integer because 10 is an integer. Let us say I want to find the type of value -7. Is now I return this again. -7 is an integer. Let us say I want to know that 3.5 is actually. If I run this, it gives me float because 3.5 has a float point or decimal point. Similarly, let us see another example. I shall write -2.4566. If I run this again, this is also a float value. Similarly, now let us write a complex number which has a real part and an imaginary part. Let us say I write 10 plus 7j. If I run this, there you go. This is a complex number, hence it has a returned the value as complex. Now if I just write 10j, just let us see what is represent. Again it is a complex value. Now let us pass in a boolean value. Suppose I write true. Now true has false are boolean value. So ideally our Python should return boolean only. There you go, you can see it has returned as boolean. Now let us move ahead and explore some of the popular object Python. So we shall start the list. List is one of the popular object in Python. Now to declare a list, I shall create a variable called, let us say L1. I shall give an equal to and within a square brackets I shall pass in my list. A list can hold data of multiple data types. I shall show you now. So John here is a string. I shall give something like 102 could be the employee ID of John. I shall give USA. Let us say the country to which John belong to, and I shall give a floating point value. Let us say 180.5, assuming it is centimeters, and this is John's site. Suppose if I run, you see I have created my list, and if you want to print it, I shall just write L1. There you go to there. I have my list L1 printed. Now suppose you want to check the type of L1, you can use the type function again and pass in the variable that is L1. There you go, it tells that L1 has the value in the form of list. Similarly, you can create list of same data type, let us say only of a number. Okay. Now if I just print L2, you can see L2 has only number. Similarly, you can check the type of L2. If run this, it is also a list. Okay. Now another popular object in Python is called tuple or tuple. Now the only difference between a list and a tuple is that list and list are mutable, which means once you can declare a list, you can change the value, which tuple are immutable, which means that once you declare a tuple, you can change the values. Now another difference is that list is written within a square bracket, but when you assign a tuple, it is within normal braces or round brackets. As you say, you shall create a tuple called tup and within bracket I shall give the value. Let us say I want to give the value of vehicles or car. So brands of different car we have in this tuple. Let us say BMW, then we have Audi, next we have Mercedes, let us say Jaguar. Okay. Now you can use the print statement to print the tuples, and let us say I also want to print the type. So I shall use the type function and pass in my variable that is tup. If I run this, you can see the first print statement prints the values present in the tuple tup, and then we have the type. You can see it. It is of type or class is tuple. Now next we have our third object, which is called a dictionary. I am giving comments here for readability. Okay. Now dictionary consists of a key value pairs and are again mutable object, just like list, which means you can change the value of dictionary once they are assigned, and dictionaries are written within curly braces. Let us say I want to create an employee dictionary, so I shall give my variable name as employee and then start with my curly braces. First I shall give the key, say the name, and then we have the name of the person in the term of value, that is John. Next we have his age. Let us say age is 29. Now one thing to remember, there is the value is a string you can pass within quotes, but it the value is an integer or floating point. Number you don't have to pass within quotes. Let us say I want to have the salary of Jones as well. Again, salary is the term of number, so you don't have to pass it within quotes. Let us say the third information or the fourth information I have about John is the company in which we work. Let us say John work as Oracle, so I have my dictionary defined now. I shall write print my dictionary employee, and then I also want to check the type. Okay, let us print. There you go. So the first print statement, print the dictionary employee, and then we have the data type of my dictionary employee and employee, that is dict, DICT, which means dictionary or dict. Actually dict is a short form of dictionary. The fourth Python object we are going to discuss is called a set. Now even a set is created using curly braces, like how we have used in the dictionary, but the difference is sets do not contain key value pairs, but they can only contain unique value. Now let me show you what I means. Let us say I want to create a set that has only unique value of months. So within curly braces, I will pass in my month names. Let us say Jan. Then I have February, January. Let us say January, JN, and I have February, FEB. Then I have March, March, MAR for March. Let us say APR for April. So this is set, and if I want to print, I can just pass in the variable name, that is month. Let us run it. It's okay. You can see is there. It has print my set, which is not in an order. Okay. Now you can also check the type of the variable, that is month. If I run it, you can see is there a type or class set. Now the difference I want to show, here is as I mentioned, set can only contain unique value. Suppose I have another value of month, let us say February, FEB. If I run this, I shall remove this. If I run it, you can see here still my set has only unique values, so it does not consider any discipline value. Alright, now moving ahead, we will explore how to extract contain certain value from the Python object. We shall use different technique, be in indexing or slicing. Okay, so if I go to the top, I had created a list called L1. Let me print L1 again. Okay, so there are the value that I have in my list L1. Now let us say I want to print the first element in the list L1. The way to do is I shall use my print statement. I shall give my variable name, that is L1, and within a square brackets I shall give the index. Let us say 1. If I run it, it gives me the value 102. The reason begin in Python, the index value is starting from 0. So this the first value is at index 0. Then the second value is at the index 1. The third value is at the index 2, and the fourth value is at the index 3. If we are to find what is their at index 3. I just need to replace 1 with 3. I run this. You see it gives me 180.5, which we had assumed to be the height of John in centimeters. Now you can also do this without even using the print statement. That is the beauty of Python. If I write L1 and within square brackets, let us say I write 2. If I run this, it gives me USA, because USA is the value that present at index 0. So very important things to remember while indexing or slashing is that the index value start from 0 and not I. So if you have to find the value where John is present, you need to use 0 instead of 1. If I run this, it will return me John. Okay. Now you can also use negative indexing. Let us say I write L1 minus 1. You can take a guess what this will return. If I run this, it will return me 180.5. When you use negative indexing, it will start from the last option. So minus 1 is actually indexing. Let us, so we will write minus 3 and see the result. It gives me 102, which is fair enough. If you start from the back, this is minus 1, USA is at minus 2, and at minus 3 we have 102. All right. Now also you can use slicing. Let us say I shall write L1 within square brackets. I shall give, let us say from 1 to 3. So I want all the values present from the first indexing, which is this is till the third index, but excluding the third index. If I run this, it gives me 102, which is at the first index, and then the USA, which is at the second index. Now in the Python, the last index is executive. It is not included. So in case you want to print 180.5 as well, you have to change this from 3 to 4. Now if I run this, you get 180.4 as well. Okay, moving ahead, there are some basic functions that you can use with Python objects. For example, if you want to add any new value to do your list L1, you can use the append function. Suppose I write L1 do not L1 dot append. Let us say I want to add the vehicle or the car at John and Haj. Let us say I shall write append range rover. If I run this and let us print L1 again, you can see it there. We have append or add a new value to our list L1. Cool. Now you can also use the reverse function in Python. If you want to print the list in reverse order, so let us say I want to print the element present in L1 in reverse order. I just need to write my variable, that is L1 followed by dot and the reverse function. It is very simple. If I run this and I will print L1, now it print my list in reverse order. Here it was from John all the way till Range Rover. Once I reverse it, it start from Range Rover and all the way to John. Cool. Similarly, you can also extract a specific value from the tuple and dictionary. Let me. So you shall just go to the top and OK. So we had created a tuple called tup. Let me print that tuple again. So these are the values of different brands of car. We have in the tuple, let us say you want to find the car that is present in the second index, so you can just write 2 within square brackets. So I have my tuple name followed by the square brackets, and then I have my index. If I run this, you get most d, and again in Python tuple the index value start at 0 and not 1. So BMW is at the index 0, Audi is at the index 1, Mercedes is at index 2. You see it there, and then Jaguar we have at the index 3. Again you can use slicing by using colon, and you can also use negative indexing. Let us say I shall change the value from 2 to, let us say, -3. See the result. You see, okay, see the result. You see here we have Audi because this is -1, Mercedes at -2, and Audi is at -3. Okay, now you can extract the value in the direction by using the key in the dictionary. Let me go to the top and see the dictionary that we had created. It is employee. Let me print it now in Jupyter Notebook. You can also use the tab to auto-complete a variable name or a function name in one of the features that Jupyter Notebook provide. So there we have the employee dictionary, and let us say you want to print the value of salary. The way to do is I shall write print employee dot I can use the get function, and within the get function I shall pass in my key for salary. If I run this, you see here it gives me 2,50,000, which is the salary of John. Similarly, if you want to, let us say, update any value in the dictionary, you can use the update function. Suppose I want to update the company of John from Oracle to let us say Google. The way to do is I shall write my dictionary name, that is employee, followed by the update function, and then within curly braces I shall pass in my key. Let us key, that is company, give a colon and change it to say Google. Now I can just print my employee dictionary. There you go from company Oracle, we have changed it to Google now. So there are some of the very crucial features or important features that are available in the Python, which help to do a lot of calculations and data manipulations. All right. Next, let us see how to use a if-else conditions or an if-else statement in Python, like in any other programming language, be it C, C++, Java, or you have if-else statement in Python. Also we have if-else statement. So basically you can check some conditions and return a value. Suppose I have a variable called a which has a value of let us say 400. Then I have a variable called b which has a value of 250. Okay, now I shall use if conditions. I shall write if b is greater than a, then the b is greater. Now you will also have an else statement. I shall write if, which means else if a is equal to b colon, then print a and b are equal. Finally I shall write my else statement, else print a is greater. So what I am doing here is I have assigned two variable a and b to value 400 and 450 respectively. Then I am writing an if else condition. So I am checking a conditions if b is greater than a, which means I am comparing if 250 is greater than 400. In case it is true, then print b. B is greater, else if both the value if they are same, then the print a and b are equal. Otherwise print a is greater. Let us run it and see the result. This is the fair enough. It print me a is greater because b is not greater than a. So 250 is definitely not greater than 400. So this condition fails. Even the elif conditions fails. Only the final conditions else is true, that is a is greater than b. So this is a simple example of you are using the if else conditions. Now the if else statement in Python. Now moving ahead, let us see how to use a while loop in Python. Now using the while loop, you can execute a set of statement as long as conditions is true. Let me show you a very simple example. I shall write I equal to 0. So I have assigned the value of 0 to I. Then I shall write while I is less than 8. Then I am going to head so I shall write equal to I plus 1. I shall use another conditions. If I equal to 4 gives a colon, then I am going to use a statement called condition. I shall print. So using the conditions statement, you can stop the current iteration and conditions with the next iteration. Let us print the result and see. Okay. So here we are checking if I is less than 8. So first value is 0. 0 is less than 8. Then I am incrementing the value of I to 1. So I because I becomes 1 now. From 0 it's become 1. Then I am printing I. Condition continue until we have the value if I equal to 4. So if the value of I is equal to 4, I am skipping the current iteration. So if you notice the result after 3, we have 5. So we have skipped printing 4 and gone to the next value of I, which is 5. So the loop runs till this condition fails. So when I is not less than 8, the loop terminate. Alright, finally in our demo, let us see how a for loops work. So a for loop is used for iterating over a sequence. This is either a list, tuple, or a dictionary, a set, or a string. So let me go ahead and create my tuples. Tup equal to, let us say I have the same brand of car. We have BMW, then I have Audi, let us say I have Mercedes, I have Jaguar, then and then I have BMW again. All right, I am going to print the value present in the tuple one by one. So for that I am going to use for loop. So I shall write for a variable x in my tuple. I shall say print x. So that is will do it this randomly assigned value. X will iterate through all the elements in the tuple and print them one by one. Let us hit shift enter to run it. Let us go. You can see there I have all the different cars brand printed on one by one. Cool. So this bring us to the end of our demo session on introduction to Python. Let me go to the top and tell you what we do. So first I told you how to print any set of statement or any string test number in Python. You just use the print statement or the print functions. You can also perform very simple mathematical calculation using Python. Then you can also check the data type of the variable using the type functions. Then we saw how to use the input function. There we inputted an integer, and then we found the sum of both the integer x and y. The value was 90. In the next example, we remove the integer function by considering our values as a string, and then we saw the difference in the result. So when you use a string, the addition operation will concatenate or merge. Okay, so that it was the tuple. In it has taken this new tuple which has 5 value in it. So the length become 5. Let me go to the top. Okay, and after that we learned how to use a if else float, by how to write a while loop, and then finally we saw how to use a for loop in Python. All right, so that brings us to the end of this video tutorial on introduction to Python. I hope it was useful and informative. Okay, now if you want to get the some source code, then that we use in the demo video, please put your email ID in comment section of this video. Thank you. Thanks for watching.